too. Oh my gosh. We love technology when it works.
Right?
Okay, I'm back. We're back. I'm going to go share this on everything so that everybody can re-find us. And then I'm going to have you go and share it again as well. But we're back. We are here. I am here with Stephen Champagne today. His book, Beyond the Darkness. I am so excited to share this book with y'all. It is a different kind of book, it is a sci fi book. And my husband loves these kinds of books. I've heard so many of these books when we travel. We listen to a lot of audiobooks like this. The first thing I definitely want to say is go get your Kindle copy today. We are pushing this book for bestseller today for him on Amazon. So go get that. That's the easiest way to read it and take it with you. I am definitely a book person. You can, well, they're all over there. You can't see them, but I am a read it in front of me. But it is always nice if you're in the middle of a book and you want to travel to have that with you as well. So go get both and support him today. It does come in hardback on Amazon as well if you want that. That is kind of cool. I like a hardback too. Those are kind of cool. So I am excited to introduce Stephen to you. And this book has been around for a while. He started writing or wrote this over 15 years ago. So, Stephen, I want you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the origins of this book,
Yeah.
please.
Thank you. And to make a note on what you said though is yes, the Kindle version is super important today to get that out to everybody, and it's only like $2. So I would
Right.
definitely say grab that copy because that helps boost my rating.
Yeah.
But
Right.
one of the really cool things that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of days is releasing copies. They're hardbound copies of the book that you will
Nice.
actually get that are signed. So
Yay.
those will be available on my website. And like you said, to tell a little bit of history about the book, is I did write it a little over, I think, 15 years ago. It sat on a shelf. And the interesting thing is, it was handwritten. And I could never figure out how to fully, I would say, to write a book. I had
Yeah.
all these short stories, and and it was so daunting to think of, like, how do you keep up with all these elements and things to get it into a cohesive structure, and so I ended up starting a book and started writing it, and in the middle of writing that book, I had the idea for this book.
Nice.
And so I put that book aside and I started writing this one. And then I had two books going on at once. And I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to finish this. And so
Right.
I ended up finishing this book. And like I said, it was handwritten, ended up going in a folder on a shelf, and it's set through life
Yeah.
and work and all those things. And I had an assistant that worked for me for my last company, and she took the book. Her name is Emily, and I tell you, the book would have never happened without her. She took all of my scribbles and all of my handwritten stuff and all of my notes and all of those things, and I did have an actual book written out. And she sat and she deciphered my cryptic handwriting in this manuscript that I had, and she typed it all up.
Wow.
And I had it in digital form at that point, and that's when I think it became something that was more real.
Yeah.
And so I went through the digital version and rewrote a lot of the parts, cleaned it up, did those kind of things, and I had to go back and flesh it out a little bit more because it was originally written to be a graphic novel. And the interesting part of that was the graphic novel was going to obviously be accompanied with pictures and things. So there was a lot of the scenes in the book that were left up to the visual aspect. Um,
Okay.
and so I went back and I rewrote, fleshed those scenes out, made it more into a novel format. And then, that's when it's transitioned over to what it is today. So,
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and show everybody your book. I behind you. You showed me right before the
yeah.
stream.
see if I
I
can do
thought
this.
it was really cool. You
It's
could do it.
Yeah. So up on this
Those
shelf, there's all kinds of
oh,
stuff on this shelf.
that's all right.
These are the books that I've kept. But
Wow,
this right here, this little
that's
section
amazing.
is
Yeah,
actually the book,
that's crazy.
in paper form, handwritten. And yeah, that's how it started.
I love it. I love that you have it in paper form and that it's still on your shelf. That is so cool because that just proves how long ago you wrote it. It really does because
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, right, you wrote a 15-year whatever, but you did because we didn't have the computer to put it on back then. I mean, you
Yeah.
did, but it
I
was
mean, we
not
did, but
a.
it just wasn't,
It wasn't
people,
as
I
big of
think
a
people
deal.
still loved,
Yeah.
to write, and I still write. I keep and I keep a notebook with me
Yep.
everywhere I go.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I just there's there's just something about writing, and I think it ties into like my art background of being an
Yeah.
artist, and always having a sketchbook of some form or fashion, which is interesting because I never sketch. I would always write and not sketch. So, but
Yeah. Well, and it's we tell people all the time, especially this day and age, because we get so busy. And but even in the busy, you get ideas.
mhm,
And I tell people all the time, keep a journal, keep a notebook with you
yeah,
because you get busy. And some people, use their phones and put notes in their phones. But if you're like I am, I have so many notes in my phones I couldn't find the notes if I wanted to.
yeah,
Or you put a note in your phone and then you forget to label that note. And then it's like, where was that? I don't even
yeah.
know what it was called. I've got so many of those kinds of things in my phone. But if you write it down, it does. I mean, it does two things. When you write it down, you see it as well, so you remember it even better.
Well, I think that there's also this whole process of, between your mind and the physical action. Um,
Yes.
Typing is a little bit different than obviously, uh, having to write.
Mhm.
And I don't know the science behind it, but I do know that
Right.
there is a difference, and it's, I equate that to being an artist. When you're sitting in front of a blank canvas, it's one thing to imagine that in your head, but then when you try to put it on actual canvas,
Right.
to get what you have in your head takes practice. It doesn't happen
Yes.
the first time that you do it. And I think writing, when you're actually writing physically, there is that process there of having to separate those two and craft that story, where I feel like just typing is a little, there's not so much of a barrier there. But
Right.
yeah, I do that now. I actually, through work and business, and I do have a lot of productivity tools, and I do everything pretty much digitally now, but it was not that way in the beginning, and I still find myself starting short stories and writing by hand first, and
Yeah.
then transitioning to digital, which I
Yeah.
just I don't think will ever go away.
No, I love that because there's so many people that I actually talk my stories out. It's just how I can get it out. I get it out better that way. It's just how my brain works. But I love that writing is the thing for you. I mean, there's so many people that don't use that pure form of writing. And before we got online, I asked you about your typewriter back there because
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
I
it's right
miss
there.
using a typewriter. It's so weird. I
Hmm.
remember taking typing classes in school and using a typewriter, and I had a typewriter in my home, and I remember using it, and there's just something authentic about using a typewriter, and I just love that. And just having your hands on it, and it's just
Yeah,
I don't know. There's just something about it.
it took me forever to find it, and
Yeah.
I've actually written with it. It's unforgiving.
Oh,
So, the it's 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 definitely unforgiving. If you mess up, it's not like can just backspace it out. You definitely have
no.
to start over.
Yeah.
Which I think now, having the tools that we have, it's not
Yeah.
as productive, obviously, and it kind of interrupts that whole thought process when you're writing of having to start over, and then you kind of lose that momentum and that train of thought. But
Yeah.
it's really cool to do and to have and to experience, and then you can create fun stuff with it that you just can't get anymore. So,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I talk my writing out, because I am a in some areas of my life, I'm a perfectionist. So if I'm typing it out, I can't just type. I've got to go back and fix everything as I'm going.
yeah,
So I'm not going to get that, just that, in that space where I'm being true to myself. So we want to talk about your book, and anybody that wants to can go on and see the summary. And I think the summary for the book is uh, really gives people an interest in the book, as well as, oh, this kind of sounds cool. It gives
yeah,
people a little bit of a push to go, wonder what this is about. I had read it to my husband because he was like, well, what's the book about? And so I want you to give people a little bit of a preview of the book without giving the book away. So what is your book about?
yeah. And I think that was really difficult to do, was to write the description for the back of the book,
Yeah.
because this book is really difficult to summarize. Um, and it's almost it's there's so many plot twists, there's so
Hmm.
many different elements that are woven together that it's like
Yeah.
you it doesn't fit necessarily in a category. I think it falls in sci-fi because of
Yeah.
it has sci-fi elements in it,
Right.
but it's not a sci-fi book. I mean,
Right.
it's more about the characters, and I think that
Yes.
the story is more about that main character going through these different things and overcoming, and then self-discovery, and all of these different aspects play in the book based on like our everyday life. And
Yes.
what I love about it, going back and reading it after 15 years, it
Yeah.
was I didn't realize how much that I actually focused on the character in the story and not the world building, and all of those aspects are there. But
Right.
and I think that I did a fairly good job at making sure that those things were there. But I really wanted this to be something that people could relate to, as far as the people and the characters and the journey, um, because the overall story is about that journey of what she
Yes.
goes through, which it is a female main character. Um, so what she goes through and the other people in her lives and how they're interwoven into her story, and that's how our everyday lives are. We
Yes.
all are going through these things and overcoming things and dealing with hardships and discovering ourselves, and then having our setbacks, and what happens in our lives, it affects other people, and then how those other people affect our journey. And I believe that that's a core component. These sci-fi elements are fun. Yeah,
Right.
and but it's written in now
Yeah.
today, like everyday life, like it's not in the future, it's not some crazy
Right.
other world. So it's very plausible that something like this could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really powerful too, for the story and that transformative aspect, or that
Hmm.
overcoming aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was looking over, with all the books that we do like a positioning report, to see where to put where to categorize it. And it kind of breaks the books down. It's kind of cool. And it gives, like the keywords, and the keywords are just like kind of all over, is like intricate plot twists, sinister motives, um, science fiction mystery. It does come, but memory loss, betrayal, and deceit, race against time. So there's a lot in it. There's just so many different things that happen. Um, to It's Cynthia, right? Cynthia, that's her
Yes,
name, right?
main character.
Yeah, the main character, Cynthia. So there's so many things that happen just from the moment the book starts. And yeah, she has to learn to adjust, which, we have to learn to adjust in every day of our lives,
Yeah.
and especially with the world today. And yeah, it has got such a great narrative.
It it definitely doesn't stop.
No.
There
And what I
it's
love the most about it is the way you end it leaves it open.
yeah.
So, we know where there's
Well,
going to be more to the story.
there is definitely more to the story. I I really don't like when endings suck.
Right?
Oh my gosh, that is the worst. I've read some amazing books, and I'm not going to call any authors out because I love them.
Right.
But I have read some amazing books, and the end, you're just like,
What?
I'm so angry right now, so angry. And
Yeah.
and I've only thrown one book in my life. I've only thrown
Oh
one.
my.
Yes, and oh my gosh, that I will tell you what book that was. And I'm gonna butcher the name because it's so hard to say, but it was Tess of de Ubervilles.
Okay.
Oh my gosh! And if you haven't read that book, go read it. It's an amazing book. It was
Yeah.
written in the 1800s,
Oh wow.
and it was written about women and their place in society at the time and the things that they went through. And it has a main character. Anyways, long story short, it was an incredible book. And the author, he really did something amazing and did not get the notice, the, I guess,
Notoriety from it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because of the era and what and I think it almost ruined his career if it didn't.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy, but
Right.
that book, like, it got me. There's some parts, and I was so angry, and I like threw that book, and but it wasn't because of the ending. The ending
Oh,
was,
okay.
but anyways, not to get off topic, but
That's
I think,
awesome though. Well, and you learned from that book some things, I'm sure, of how to write
oh
a
yeah,
story.
oh, he is an amazing author, like
That's
poetic and just
awesome.
beautiful and just, but I really wanted to make the ending open because there is a second book. Just to clarify that there is
Mhm.
one. Um,
Yay.
it's we're not going to talk about that.
That's okay.
but
It's coming. That's just a teaser.
I wanted the ending to be something that made sense
Yes.
and was realistic. Even though it's a
Yes.
sci-fi book, this is a very realistic book. Everything that happens, as far as storyline and plot and those things, those elements are like real time,
Yeah.
and they really. I wanted it. I wanted it to be a book that could be real as well as those science fiction elements. And I think that that makes it fun, but it also makes it more relatable instead of it just being a total fantasy world with all of these things. And so the end was very important to keep open so that there was the rest of the story. But it also needed to be satisfying in the context that there was some type of closure
Yeah.
so that you felt like the journey that you were on made sense and had a point versus
Yes.
just being
Yes.
left open and it's like, damn,
Now what? I gotta wait 5 years for another book?
right?
Yeah.
So, um, but yes, I think that, like I was stating before, as far as the story goes, is being an artist first,
Yeah.
which is how I started drawing and painting and things from a very young age. I had always put everything into that art perspective. And I went to college for computer animation and graphic design and absolutely hated it because it was all computer. And
Yeah.
I wanted to paint like Leonardo da Vinci, and I remember the conversation I had with the university was like, yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Oh.
It's like
Oh.
everything's digital and that's the future,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I went down the digital route and I was like, God, no. So I ended up going to the military and life and things, but I always had this art in me, and so I was like, you know
Yeah.
what, I'm going to teach myself.
I love
And
it.
so I picked up everything that I could on art history, on artists, on their, their lives, on how they made their work. I wanted to learn how they did what they did so that my paintings could sit in a gallery or a museum for hundreds of years and still be there.
I
And
love that.
and I learned how to build my own canvases, how to make my own brushes, how to make my own paint.
Nice.
I learned art from the inside out, from conceptual to physical to everything. And and then I painted for years.
Wow.
And the cool part about that was is I feel like art is a great medium to see, to learn how to see the world, to learn how to see yourself. It is
Yeah.
such a transformative process. I mean, you're literally creating something from nothing just out of pure imagination and creativity.
Yeah.
And I had always written in journals. I had always journaled my life, my feelings, my thoughts, and then I had written short stories, and I could never connect the two.
Mm.
Um, and like I said, I had not really ever thought about doing that.
Yeah.
But I ended up starting a company. I went back to school for sports nutrition and got in the health and wellness industry and built a
Nice.
practice. And the interesting part about that was is as the company did better and I became more and more like an office job thing, the
Mm.
creativity
Yeah.
was, having to suffer because of that. And I was doing nothing creatively. And I
Yeah.
actually had a friend that he called me up one day and he was like, "Hey, I want to come over and take some pictures of you, in your office. And I got this camera and I want to learn photography." And I
Yeah.
was like, "All right." So he come over and he's an amazing artist.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're messing around with this camera, and I kind of hated photography,
Yeah.
because as technology has gotten better, art in its
Yeah.
respect, I feel like has just gone by the wayside because it's so easy. Everyone's a photographer and on and on. So
Hmm.
I was like, man, I don't really know about this photography thing, and but it was really cool. We got talking about it, and there was this whole artistic perspective behind it, and
Yeah.
so he got me interested in cameras, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, this is the thing. So I took off with that and had no idea how to do it. Didn't even know how to
Mhm.
work a camera, and started playing around with this little camera that my sister had given me. And I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
I took all of that artistic background and applied it to photography, and that's where the process began of saying, okay, I can take art and I can take
Yes.
this writing, this storytelling, and now I have this visual component that is digital, like, photography, and which transitioned into videography, and
Yeah.
how I can make these stories move and be
Yeah.
real. And like this whole thing, it took, a few years of just trying to figure that out, and ended up going into that industry, into media and marketing, and
Yeah.
and building a business there. And that's where I believe the snowball effect happened
Hmm.
of really turning art and these words into something. Um,
Yeah.
and of course, now we have AI. So there's a whole nother
Yeah.
level of things that we can do with being able to take written words and written stories and turning them into visuals. And it's really becoming an awesome era to be an
Yeah.
artist. And so,
Yeah. If you use it correctly, it definitely does help.
yeah,
The AI helps a lot because I can think of an idea and I'm like, I this is I know what I want, and I like start looking and I just cannot find what I want. So
yeah,
I'll go to the AI. I have a couple different programs and I'll be like, okay, create this for me, and then I'll take what they give me and then I'll create it. It's just I can't get that image in my head.
yeah,
Like I know what I want, I just can't figure out how to do it.
yeah,
But then I'll go do it because I won't just take the AI image and use it. I have to create my own version. But that's the one thing I feel like you can tell reading your book that you have that artistic in you because of the way you describe things. It makes a difference that
Yeah.
that having that artistic in you. My daughter is very much like you in the artistic vein, and she picked up photography, and she's not, and like she can take a phone and take pictures of the moon,
Yeah.
and they are just, I look at her and you did that with your phone?
Right.
How?
Yeah.
And she, I mean, she takes pictures of people too, but she just like she loves taking pictures of the moon. That like
Yeah.
her obsession. But I mean, she uses her camera too. We've done like, you know, when we have the super moons and all that stuff. She'll go out with her camera and she's obsessed with it. But it does take a person that, yeah, everybody can take selfies and all that, but it does take that, you've got to have that artistic in you. And I
Hmm.
love that you found a place to put it, because if you it is, if you lose that,
Yeah.
like my artistic, other than the things that I do for work, my artistic is my music and singing. And if I don't have a place to do that, and I mean, even if it's just walking through my house singing, because I
Yeah.
do it all the time, but I have to be able to let that out, or it fizzles, and
Yeah.
it ha-
Well, you
and
don't
it
feel complete,
you
and you don't
don't.
feel whole. And
No.
I think that that's part of the aspect of this story with the book as well. Is,
Yeah.
the main character, she is living life, and she knows that there's something out
Yeah.
there, and she knows that there's something in her, but can never put her finger on it,
Yeah.
and doesn't understand it, but just doesn't feel complete. And then this event happens, and
Right.
it starts this domino effect of this wild journey that she goes, spiraling on.
Yeah.
And and the it just unravels everything, and then she learns that aspect of herself, and ends up becoming,
Yeah.
her true, I would say, or finding her true self.
Yes.
And the power in that
Mm.
is to me epic. Y-
It
You know,
is.
it is all of our stories that
Yeah.
we no matter what lives we've been given or had or created, that we all have that journey of self-discovery
Yeah.
and trying to all make it in the world. We're
Yeah.
all just trying to survive, and you know helping each other along that process is obviously the goal.
Yes.
But I think that that's where the other people in the book come in,
Yeah.
as far as helping her along her journey, and then her helping those people.
Yes.
And it's really hard to talk about this book without talking about it.
It is, but you've done such a great job of
But
getting, but you know, the thing about the book is it's about somebody going through life,
yeah,
and in just a different way.
yeah.
And it
So
that it go
I
ahead.
will, yeah, and I will say that there are a few things that I will give away about the book. It's that it's very action packed, it's very fast
Yes.
paced,
Yes.
and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. And when you think you have it figured out, you don't. I promise you.
Yeah.
Um, and if you do, please send me an email and let me know that you figured it out in the beginning. I would love to hear someone be able to do that. But
Right?
um, that it. I will tell you that it's not written as a normal book either.
Yeah.
Like I said in the beginning, it was to be a graphic novel,
Yeah.
and the idea was to have, as a comic book, a monthly release, and then put it all together in like a full book.
Right.
So there's actually only 13 chapters.
Right.
The chapters are broken up by segment scenes and people, so it's not like this big long chapter or any of this stuff.
Yeah.
It still moves as a regular book does, but it's written a
Yes.
little differently. And the interesting thing is that it keeps moving quickly, but each
Mhm.
part of these, or each chapter, builds upon itself, obviously, but they turn into a totally different thing as the book goes on as well. So there's this
Yeah.
transformative aspect of the book as well as the characters. And what's even more interesting is right smack in the middle of the book, it changes. Uh,
Mm,
it totally, everything gets flipped on its head, and what you think is going on is it's almost like you're getting two books in one.
nice.
And at that moment, you know, I, I can't tell you what happens, obviously,
No, you can't.
but at that point, your story it intensifies,
There you go. That's a good word for it. I
and
like that.
it's it's almost like you start a new journey,
Yeah.
but you're not. You're on the
Yeah.
same one with the same
Right.
characters, and
Yeah.
it just explodes into this massive world and massive story
Yeah.
that I feel like it changes the entire thing. And when you think, a friend of mine, he asked me, he said, if you had like one word, like, or one phrase that would describe this book, what would it
Hmm.
be? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the hardest question to ask me. And 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 I just said, oh damn.
There you
And I
go.
was like, because while you're reading the book, you're just like, damn, oh,
Yeah.
like, oh
What the
my gosh.
heck?
Yeah. And then you turn the
Wait a
page and
minute.
like you're like, oh my God.
Oh,
I can't believe that, like,
that's awesome.
so
I love it.
it's fun. And it keeps it light, it keeps it fun because it still has that quick, light
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
of, like, say, a comic book, but it's still fully written out. And I think that it moves fast paced fairly quickly. I mean, even yourself, like, everyone has told me that they just have such a hard time putting it down
Yeah.
that
It's not a book you're going to want to sit down and try to start reading before you go to bed because you're not going to go to bed.
that's
It's not. It's
a good
it's not
problem to
a
have.
read before bedtime book because you're just
Yeah.
not going to be able to go to sleep because you're going to be like, wait, I gotta know. No, I gotta read the next chapter.
Yeah,
Um,
which is why
yeah,
I'm so excited to get it turned into a audiobook,
yeah,
and in the works right now, and we'll be
yeah.
releasing that soon. But that audiobook is going to be really exciting because, then you get the whole nother, like, tactile, like, sensory feel
Yes,
to it. And the cool part is there's going to be a lot of other things coming with this story. Like, we are
yeah.
going to do a graphic novel, excuse me.
Yay.
And, then we're talking about, there's spin-off stories for the different characters.
That's
There's
awesome.
going to be, I feel that I would love to push in the visual realm more and more. I
Yeah,
would like to
yeah,
see maybe short stories, like
yeah.
videos made about scenes in the book and
Oh
parts
yeah,
of the book, and using AI to create imagery. Like, I've started doing some of that.
that's
And it's
awesome.
hard to do those kind of things because I don't want to set a standard of what these characters are supposed to look like, or these scenes
Mm-hmm.
are supposed to look like, because when
Yeah.
you read the book, I want you to use your imagination, and I want you
Yes.
to have that visual. And I hate when movies are made about books and then it's like, well, that's not what the characters are supposed to look like, and it's like,
Right.
or that's so wrong, that's supposed to be this color, and like, and
Yeah.
it's so, and I get it, being in the video, like, film
Yeah.
industry, like, that part of being, like, I understand that you can't stay 100% true to the book when you
Right.
take it from written to video. There's so many different elements because
All right.
you can't
Right.
hear what's in the head of the character. You can't,
Yeah.
it maybe logistically you cannot create something because we don't have the
Yeah.
digital
The
technology
technology.
to
Yeah.
create that, or a location for that. Like, we can't go to Mars.
No.
But there's no Mars in this book, by the way. But I would say that I am very interested in getting it into a visual version
Yeah.
of the story.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that this book has the ability to be a powerhouse for like a Netflix series or possibly a
I think so.
movie. And I think I would almost lean towards a series format
Yeah.
because it follows more of the comic book style of,
Yes.
releases, as well as there's so much to this story. I would not
Yeah.
want to try to pack it in 90 minutes
Yeah. Right.
or maybe, like a 2-hour film.
Yeah.
I think that that version could exist eventually, like,
Yeah.
but I believe that I just think that, yeah, there needs to be a visual component to this
Yes.
because some of these scenes and some of the characters and the world building is so real and powerful in the
Hmm.
book that it's almost like, man, I want to see that.
I love
So,
it.
so I'm really, really excited to hear what people got to say about it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't want to give it away, but I do.
I know.
I
I
want to
know.
talk
It's
about
so
it.
hard when you have a new book. But I am so excited. And you're working with my like business partner and literary agent Trueness. He's going to get you in the bookstores so you can
Mhm.
connect with the people that are going to read your book, which is going to be really exciting because you're going to be able to hear back from people. So I want to re-encourage everybody to get the book, get the Kindle today, get your paperback ordered, or your hardcover ordered from Stephen directly.
Yep.
How are they going to be able to order that?
Yeah, so they can go directly to my website, which is www.thestephenchampagne.com.
Okay.
And on there you'll see a tab that says Beyond the Darkness. And on that page is a place to place an order for a hardback author copy that has an inscription of your choice and also a signature. I will sign those books. And the
Yes.
cool thing that I'm going to do is down the road when we do the like in person
Mhm.
book signings and those types of events, if someone brings me that copy, an author copy,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna do something else to it, and
Awesome.
they get something for having that
Yeah.
instead of just having a regular book signed. So that's
I
gonna
love
be a
it.
really cool thing. So that'll be like a collector's item and collector's edition. But one of the things that I really wish that people do today is get the Kindle version.
Yes.
Like I said, it's like $2, but that
Yeah.
that helps grow me as an author as far as getting the
Yeah.
ranking and those kind of things. And that's only today for like $2, I think.
Yeah, for we usually keep it till
So
Monday.
yeah,
Like,
so until Monday,
yeah.
so a couple of days, and
Yes.
then it goes to
Goes
full
back up
price.
to yes.
Um, so in a perfect world, I would hope that the entire world would go buy a Kindle version today and
Yes.
then get
Absolutely.
you an actual physical copy after Monday
Yes.
of the book and make sure that you get the collector's item.
Yeah, I'm gonna get myself a signed copy, a hardback. Absolutely. I'm gonna go on and grab me one.
I love it.
Um, yeah, absolutely. I always get a copy. I usually buy it from Amazon, but if you're doing the hardbacks and you're gonna sign it, I
Yeah.
am getting one.
Yeah, you can get
Um,
hardbacks on Amazon, but you
yes,
cannot get the author's copy unless
yes,
it's directly from my website.
yes, absolutely. We would. I mean, why not get it signed? That's better. Um, I am I'm just excited for you. We're gonna
Yeah.
have you. You're gonna be on podcasts. You're gonna be in stores. You're just if you happen to see this and you're in Dallas today, look for him on a couple billboards. He's out there. We're gonna try to put him up in Houston next weekend as well. Um, we're just getting this book out there. You guys got to get this book. And then once you get the book, please do some reviews on Amazon. Reach out to Steven. Let him know, go
Yeah.
to his website, reach out to him, let him know what you think of the book. You know, that's the best part as an author is to hear back from the people who have read the book.
Yeah.
So
And
go ahead.
just my website is the hub for all information.
Yep.
It has all my socials on it. It has
Good.
you can contact me directly. It also has all the information about the book and anything else that's coming and going to be coming up.
Yeah.
And you can follow on socials. Like I said, there is a newsletter on the website. You can drop your
Nice.
email and get all the upcoming information and those kind of things. So
Awesome.
I would say, and we'll put the website in the chat.
Yep.
But the uh, the website is definitely your first stop, and
Yep.
then you can choose like how to follow from there. Yeah,
Absolutely. Let me just grab.
and I think I can do that here.
Yeah, you should be able to do it if you can get to it, the live chat.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
you've had a couple people in there. Oh, you did it. Good job. You've had a couple people in the chat
Yeah,
supporting you, which I love. And, well, if you've seen this, share it with everybody you know. Put it on your socials, share it with everybody, get this book out there to as many people as possible. Stephen, I want to thank you for just doing this live with me, but I want to thank you even more for allowing me to publish your book and
absolutely.
to partner with you to get this book out there. And it has been my pleasure to work with you on this book. And it has been, yeah, it's just been so fun. And like I said, it's a different kind of book for me. So it's been another step in another direction. And I love that because I want to get as many in as many genres as possible.
Yeah,
So thank you so much for reaching out. And yeah, I cannot wait to see where this book goes, and I
me
can't
either.
wait
I
to
think it's
see
going
the
to be
next
fun,
ones.
and the fact that there is a second book is exciting. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm also writing some stories that are in other genres. So
yes, I'm so
and
excited to see what's next for you. So, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody who watched. And like I said, share away. Go get your Kindle copy as soon as you're done watching this. If you haven't already, get that Kindle copy. Reach out to Stephen and just have a fantastic rest of your day. We will talk to you soon. Bye
thanks.
bye. All right. Yay. That was awesome.
That's
All
fun.
right.